Vladimir Putin has gone too far with his nuclear threats and has provoked a new global arms race. United States President Donald Trump publicly announced today, October 30, the start of United States nuclear weapons testing on an equal footing with Russia and China. This marked a potentially serious shift in decades of United States policy during a period of growing tensions between the world's nuclear superpowers. For many years, the United States imposed a moratorium on nuclear weapons testing, and now Trump is abandoning this ban and says that it's time for us to rattle our nuclear weapons too. Interestingly, Trump stated that this is a response to nuclear weapons tests by other countries, and the Kremlin immediately responded in a panic, saying they have nothing to do with it. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that if Trump was offended by their Burevestnik missile test, he shouldn't have been. He said, it's not a nuclear test, it's just a missile with a nuclear reactor. So, as if nothing really happened, and there's some truth to that. Because, according to the United Nations, only 3 countries, India, Pakistan and North Korea, have conducted actual nuclear weapons tests after the signing of the Test Ban Treaty in 1996. But if Putin thought that his rattling of missiles like Burevestnik, Poseidon and so on would go unanswered, he was very much mistaken. And now it's not him raising the stakes, but Donald Trump. I'm Alexei Pichi. Today is October 30th. Let's go through everything step by step. But before we start this episode, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, give it a like, and leave any comment under this episode. Also, subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pichi News. The link is in the description of this video. There, we post breaking news as it comes in. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation or by becoming a sponsor on YouTube. All links and instructions are in this video's description. It says there, support the Alexei Pichi channel. Choose any format that's convenient for you, and I will be grateful for any support you can give. So today, Trump publicly stated that the United States is starting nuclear tests in response to Russia threatening the world with its intercontinental missiles. And Trump made this statement just a few minutes before his long-awaited meeting with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Busan. South Korea, which was announced as the site of crucial negotiations, was called upon by Ukraine to restore stability after almost a year of trade and economic turmoil. In a post on the social network Truth Social, Trump writes, "The United States has more nuclear weapons than any other country." Then he names Russia as second and China as a distant third, but catching up. In connection with other countries conducting testing programs, I have instructed the Department of Defense to begin testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. This process will begin immediately. And here, of course, it wasn't immediately clear whether Trump meant testing nuclear weapons or testing a weapon system capable of carrying a nuclear payload. So these are actually slightly different things, and the Russians are manipulating this topic a lot. Since the 1990s, none of the 3 largest military powers in the world, meaning Russia, China, the United States, has not conducted nuclear weapons tests. And the last known test was carried out by China in 1996, after which the international treaty appeared. Yes, there were also North Korean tests in 2017, but it is not among the top 3 nuclear powers. The last time the United States of America conducted nuclear tests was in 1992, after which they introduced a voluntary moratorium on such explosive tests. It is also unclear how soon the United States will be able to conduct these nuclear tests again. Why? Because, for example, the Congressional Research Service's August report says that after the appropriate order from the United States President, it would take 24 to 36 months to conduct a nuclear weapons test. But it's important to understand that Donald Trump's apparent policy shift is happening during a complicated period in global geopolitics, when the growing rivalry between the United States and China strongly resembles the Cold War era. Meanwhile, Russia's ongoing war against Ukraine increases the risk of a broader confrontation between Moscow and the West. Washington is now closely watching as China and Russia continue to develop and test advanced weapons capable of delivering nuclear warheads. Earlier this week, let me remind you, Russian President Vladimir Putin stated that his country had tested a new Burevestnik cruise missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead and nuclear torpedoes. Poseidon, not designed to destroy the Russian dictator, has no analogues. And also this week, Putin withdrew from the treaty that obligated Russia to destroy 34 tons of nuclear fuel. Well, the signals, are quite specific. Well, it's important to note here that, according to experts, Russia and the United States account for 90% of the world's nuclear arsenal. Then comes China and everyone else. Nevertheless, this statement by Trump clearly frightened the Russians. Kremlin press secretary Dmitry Peskov said today that Russia, quote, will act accordingly if any country withdraws from the moratorium on nuclear testing. In that case, we'll do the same. Moreover, Peskov started playing dumb and claimed that he knows nothing about Russia conducting any nuclear tests. And this is where the Russians start to manipulate very harshly. I'll quote Peskov next, then I'll explain. Trump mentioned that other countries are allegedly testing nuclear weapons. Until now, we were not aware that anyone was conducting tests. And if it was about a nuclear test of the Burevestnik atomic cruise missile, then this is by no means a nuclear test. All countries develop their defense systems. We are no exception. Just watch. When Russians get slapped, they instantly shout, "Hey, what does this have to do with us?" Well, after all, everyone in the world is developing their own missiles, so we also started threatening the whole world with Burevestniks and Poseidons. Yes, of course, this happened after Putin was turned away in Washington, and they said, no, Trump will not meet with this dancing dictator because it's pointless. Russians say, everyone is testing, so are we? Where's the manipulation? The manipulation is that, yes, indeed, if we go by the letter of the law, as they say, Russia did not conduct a nuclear test. Russia conducted a test of a nuclear weapon carrier, which is a bit different. When Trump says he will conduct nuclear tests, the question is whether he means testing nuclear weapons or their delivery systems. That's in response to Russia's Burevestnik, Poseidon, etc. But, as they say, it's not just about Russia. According to a Pentagon report, China is also reportedly rapidly expanding its nuclear arsenal and could have 1,000 nuclear warheads by the end of the decade. The Federation of American Scientists reports that China has recently built at least 3 ballistic missile launch complexes. And in 2024, it conducted a test launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile into the Pacific Ocean. At the military parade in Beijing in September of this year, China demonstrated its nuclear triad for the first time, a system that allows the launch of missiles capable of carrying nuclear weapons. Yeah, and that's worth noting. But this is also important to mention. When Trump was asked why he decided to announce the United States' plans for nuclear tests right before meeting with Xi Jinping, he replied that this statement was related to other matters, not to China. So this is a direct reference specifically to the Russians. And here the context is important. Trump's comments came after the end of his trip, which began with the United States president demonstrating his peacemaking abilities in Malaysia, where he took part in the peace agreement signing ceremony regarding the conflict between Thailand and Cambodia. The United States president called himself a peacemaker and a contender for the Nobel Peace Prize, while at the same time leaning toward the idea of peace through strength. However, the latest statements, if implemented, could significantly change the status quo in the field of nuclear testing if America's rivals try to follow the United States' example. But here, it is also important to note that if by tests Trump means nuclear weapons tests, this will undoubtedly prompt countries like Russia, China, India, and Pakistan to resume their own nuclear tests. That is, unlike the United States, all these countries would benefit much more from resuming nuclear tests. The timing of Trump's statement is also important in terms of its potential consequences for regional security. In Asia, a region with numerous nuclear powers, including rival countries like India and Pakistan, plus North Korea. By the way, North Korea is responsible for the most recent nuclear tests in the world, conducted in 2017, and in fact for all the tests carried out in the 21st century. According to the United Nations, only 3 countries, India, Pakistan, and North Korea, have conducted nuclear weapons tests after the signing of the Test Ban Treaty in 1996. Overall, unfortunately, there are now signs that a new era of nuclear testing is beginning. Let me remind you, this was in 2023. By the way, at that time, Cable News Network reported that, according to satellite images, in recent years, the United States, Russia, and China have built new facilities and dug new tunnels at their nuclear test sites, which indicates that all 3 countries were preparing to conduct these tests at some point. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's it for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.